All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dids in the Dugout. Joined here by my good buddy Hitch. We're going to kind of touch on the Ole Miss basketball game from Monday night real quick, kind of get that out of the way. First game of the Chris Beard era. Everybody's real excited about that, rightfully so. Hell of a coach. So that got underway, and we'll touch on the Ole Miss A&M game from this past weekend. A hell of a game there, too. Rebels pulled one out, and it sets up what we've been talking about for a few weeks now. It's ginormous game going to Athens. It's the ultimate free shot for Ole Miss. So first of all, Hitch, welcome. Appreciate you joining me. How you doing today, buddy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dream scenario, right?
Yeah.
Like we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks amongst ourselves with our group and just being like, man, what if the dream scenario and it. I think we all did a really good job too of not jumping at it, being like, man, when we beat Texas A&M, we beat this team, we're going to go to Georgia. We were like, hey, if we win this game, you know what that means?
Yeah. And I think now, and that is years and years and years of being an Ole Miss fan, though. That's where all that comes from, right? I mean,
that's also years and years and years ago, because as soon as we won that game, it's like, oh, Athens, here we come. Let's go.
Yeah. I actually started looking up tickets Saturday night to see what that would cost, and to say if that's not financially feasible is quite an understatement. So
that's awesome too.
I will end up sitting here and watching it and enjoying the hell out of myself doing that.
Oh yeah.
But first of all, Rebels tipped off their basketball season Monday night. You were in the pavilion. You got to see it first.
In attendance.
Yeah.
In the nosebleeds. Yep.
What were kind of your thoughts on Chris Beard's first game at Ole Miss?
Mixed feelings. Man, I was fired up before the game. I was sending y'all pictures. I was ready to go. They had, there weren't a lot of non-students there, which kind of what I expected. But they had a good atmosphere, and it was rocking in there. And, from the tip, I could tell that we were going to shoot a lot of threes. And I hope that gets better. I hope shooting all around gets better. I hope that rebounding gets better. It was pretty good in the first half. We crashed the boards. Yeah. Jamarian Sharp is a rim protector. I didn't count how many blocks he had last night, but he's tall and strong, and he's going to be a good one down there. And he crashes the glass.
He's the down there just on the defensive end alone. Like
something we haven't had, in a long time, ever.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
maybe going back to like Reginald Buckner, like you may have to go that far back, something like that, with the shot blocking ability that he has to alter shots at the rim, even when he doesn't get a hand on them. Just that thought in the shooter's mind, hey, I've got to get it over this tall lane. And Buckner was nowhere near the size Sharp was, obviously, but he's so good at blocking shots, so he's going to be a force down there.
The real bugaboo for me last night, outside of I think shot selection wasn't good. Free throws, man, free throws. Oh,
bad.
Man, it was tough to watch them shoot free throws last night. Thank God Matthew Morrell came back. I didn't think that would be my sentiment after the first game, but he's was out there. Matthew Morrell and Alan Flanagan. I want him to be a problem in a good way, and I think he will be at certain times. I hope he stays engaged, and I hope that he, I hope that everybody gets their touches, but at the right time. If that, TJ Caldwell, I love him to death, man, but if he touches it, it's going up.
Yeah, well, look, in TJ Caldwell's defense, we were up by one or tied, something like that in the second half. And then he's the one that went on that insane run for us to build up.
He hit 2 threes in a row, and
it
was at the under 8 timeout. It was entirely too close.
It was in doubt.
Game,
it was. I mean, it's not that.
So
it was just in doubt, but
I think coming out, just finishing thoughts there. I think that we will get better. I think that we have a lot of guys who haven't played together for a long time. I think shooting will get better. That's rust, whatever, nerves. I think all of that will get better. And I think that if we move the ball in and out and then around the perimeter, we're going to get some open looks. And I think that little guard, number 5, Sharp, I cannot remember his name. Murray.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him. He's not a name that I noticed transfer in, but he's a shooter. You get him an open look, and if he can handle the ball and shoot, that's going to be, you know who that reminds me of? Tyree, right?
Oh, hell.
Yeah. If he can handle the ball and shoot, then, hey, I like that aspect of the game with Flanagan and Morrell on the wings. Yeah. We could cause some problems. We got some length. It's going to be big.
Yeah. We've got length. We got athleticism. We don't have a lot of shooters. That was my main takeaway.
Oh, and we don't have a lot of touch around the basket either.
No. But kind of to your point, I think you said it well about being able to move the ball around the perimeter, inside out, keep that ball moving. That's one thing we had trouble with Monday. I felt like the ball stuck a little bit in a ball carrier.
A lot of one-on-ones.
Yeah, and that's just and even when you look back at all the Chris Beard teams, that's not his MO. He wants that ball moving constantly. He wants to get it around, get everybody a touch until you get the right look. I mean, he was never uber talented at Texas Tech. You know, he had Jared Culver was a high draft pick. He was a good player, but he was more on the defensive side, and he got his shots on the offensive side by moving the ball, using his athleticism, getting the defense out of position from ball movement, and that's where he will be able to kill you. And I think that's something that Flanagan and Morrell both can really do well, as long as from an offensive standpoint, ball carrier standpoint, we keep the ball moving like that and get the defense to move. But kind of same thing with you. We didn't shoot it very well. Terrible from the free throw line. I was really disappointed in rebounding. I know you pointed out the first half. We were fine there, but a team like Alabama State with the Chris Beard mentality, then that's something we have to dominate. You should be able to play defense and rebound. And if this team can't do either one of those, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble this year. SEC's going to be really good. Now, again, we're going to get better. This was the first game. This is Chris Beard's first game. This is the first time these guys were playing together in an actual game. We're going to get
it's Alabama State.
Alabama State. All of those things. This isn't the team you're going to see all year long. But I think there is a little caution.
Cause for concern, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with this team, and look, if you expected this team to make a deep run into the NCAA tournament, then that's on you going into the year. This is in year one. They're going to play their tails off. They're going to try to make the NCAA tournament. I don't think this is a team that's going to be out of it super early. I think they might have a shot to get into the tournament, because I do think they're going to keep improving. And Chris Beard has proven over and over again that he's that good of a coach. So
I think they'll keep us as fans engaged with whether or not they're on the bubble, off the bubble, or they go on a run and maybe they're an 8 or 9 seed. What are they playing? You know,
we're not going to be irrelevant in January. How about that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And
I agree.
As long as you keep us engaged up to that point, then that's a big step forward for year one. And don't put anything past Chris Beard. All the man's done's won. He's going to keep coaching these guys over and over and over again until they do what he wants to get done. So there's going to be a lot of improvement. Needs to be a lot of improvement. And I think Chris Beard and every player on that staff, or every player on that team, will be the first ones to tell you that. So, but bottom line, we got a W on opening night.
Yep.
And we're just going to keep going through this non-conference schedule. We'll work some things out until we get into SEC.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see a little bit more Friday night. We'll see a little bit more Friday night, because Eastern Washington, they're I'm not going to say a perennial scoring team, but they put up points year over year. So we'll see. Their offense is pretty good. So we'll see.
Yeah. So. All right, so that's our little 10-minute basketball talk for y'all real quick. That's something I'm sure me and Hitch will be doing a lot more as the football season winds down, basketball season gets kicked off, and, of course, leading into baseball on top of that too. So this is a really fun time of year. You get sports overlapping, multiple things to pay attention to. It's kind of busy going game to game and all that, but, that's kind of why we do this. We enjoy watching it. We did it for years and years before we did a show, and so might as well talk about with one. So, but we'll go ahead and move on to football, though. What a win by Ole Miss, man! Like it's to the point to where we just win these games like this past Saturday, right? These close games in Oxford. against a really talented team, albeit, you look at the record, they're not one of the top teams in the country. Roster-wise, they are, though. They're a really good team. They face a little bit of adversity there in the second half. Defense. I know they got slashed up in the second half, played a really good first half, and damn it, they showed up when we needed them once.
Yeah.
Right?
Man.
It's kind of become the calling card, isn't it?
I've got a story for you. I hadn't even told anybody this. So I stayed up Friday night and traveled all morning Saturday. Like I had to leave the house here at like 3 or 4 o'clock for business and go to an event that we were doing. And so I watched the game on it's about a 5 or 6 hour drive. Watched College Game Day, watched the game on my phone on the way there. We got to the hotel and checked in as I saw the Max Johnson interception late in the game. Yeah, exactly. Standing in the hotel lobby. Got up to my room, turned the game on, was watching it, started those feelings of, well, here we go, Texas A&M. We had a stranglehold on this and, kind of let loose. And, man, I laid there and I dozed off. And I went to sleep and we were up 38-35, maybe. I don't know if those numbers are right, but we had a 3-point lead or whatever. And I thought, okay, well, here we go. Dozed back off again. And in the time I dozed off and woke back up, Texas A&M scored a touchdown. We kicked a field goal. We blocked the field goal. And I missed the end of the game.
No way.
I swear, man, I was so, I guess I shouldn't have laid down. It's on me. Yeah, but I laid down to watch the game and I dozed off and I missed the end of it. But I don't even care because the only thing that matters is that we won, and we won a game like that. Yeah. That was that's very, very promising.
And if you listened to this show last week when we did our Texas A&M review,
I was just fixing to bring it up.
There was one fellow on here that said if it came down to a field goal for Texas A&M to win or tie the game, they are the second worst field goal percentage in the SEC. So you got to like the Rebels' chances, and I'll be damned if it didn't come true this weekend. So
who got a hand on it? Didn't somebody get a hand on it?
Xavier Harris.
That okay?
Yeah, he got in, got a hand on, played a hell of a game. Again, it's kind of the calling card of this defense, though, right? I mean, they in that first half,
don't break.
Well, and in that first half, they were the ones doing the breaking. They were dominant in the first half, right? And second half come out, and it seemed like we got a little more conservative. Didn't believe Texas A&M could move the ball, which why would we? They didn't do it the entire first half on us. Well, they started figuring some things out. I mean, Bobby Petrino's a pretty good offensive coordinator.
Well, and they do have a burner out there on the outside. So
they've got dudes. That's the point. And I remember during that entire last drive, because that's what we did. We sat back and we let them drive the field, tried to keep everything in front of us. And that entire last drive, I said, to hell with it. I want 6 and 7 guys coming at Max Johnson every single play. Speed him up. If he beats us, he beats us. If somebody gets behind us, they get behind us. But he's not going to sit back there for 3 and 4 seconds and find a guy and quite frankly put our defensive backs in worse positions covering these guys for longer. Speed them up, and that's what Pete Golden did, to his everlasting credit. Yep. He got tired of seeing that shit too, and he started bringing 6, 7 guys there towards the end. And that was different. It's almost forced an interception to end the game. If Gaddy could have held on to it, he didn't. Involved it, unfortunately, obviously. But on that third down play, brought pressure, sped up Max Johnson. He made a throw before he was ready to do it, before the receiver was ready for it, and forced that fourth down. And that's kind of the good things that happen to you when you play good defense. You end up getting in the backfield, getting a tip on the ball on a field goal, and you're 8-1, man. I mean, we're 8-1 going into the second weekend of November, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, 8-1 going to the number, the back-to-back national champion in a game that means everything.
Huge.
Yeah, man, that's
real big.
That's a different feeling,
One we hadn't had in a while, right?
A good feeling. But yeah, I love that what you said about Golding speeding up Max Johnson and not just letting him sit back there, because I've seen the film on him. I know that our defense has, right? And if you hurry him up, he is prone to make mistakes. He throws a lot of balls falling away and things like that. So
to do stuff like that. That's the big key. When you speed him up, like there's some guys, you know, Caleb Williams, so you can throw Jackson Dart into that category. When you speed him up, he still has arm strength to get it to the guy. Max Johnson doesn't. That's always been the knock on him. Even all the way back at LSU when he was starting for them, he always had a weak arm. He couldn't drive the ball. There was one play in the second quarter, even I made a comment to my dad and brother and friends and all sitting around that we had brought one extra guy. We'd rush 5, right? And so we come up the middle, kind of took the center off forward a little bit. He come in to help the defensive or help the guard block the defensive tackle, come off him. Got a hand on the blitzer, but the blitzer got by him. Now, never got a hand on Max Johnson, but he made him throw with a guy in his face. And we had 3 guys around the receiver, but the receiver was open, if that makes sense. Like, he threw it into the triangle. He was right in between all of them, but he didn't have enough zip on the ball to get it to him. And that threw the receiver off, and he ended up actually overrunning the route because he didn't have enough on the ball to get it there. Now, if he had enough zip on it, he would hit it between all 3 of them. It was on a 3rd down and ended up forcing a punt instead of keeping the drive alive. And that's the kind of stuff you get with Max Johnson.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah. So, but again, great win. Super excited about it. Great win. And now we get the big game we've been talking about for weeks. You know, I think me, you, and Chad mentioned it on our show last week. You know, we weren't getting too far ahead of ourselves. We had to.
We tried to take the no-hitter rule to it, right, or the perfect game rule. Yeah. Like we tried to not mention it.
Not jinx it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, it worked. So, but here we are, rating 1. We're going to Athens, number 1, number 2 team. As of this point, the new college football playoff rankings have not come out yet. But either way, this is a team that hasn't lost a home game since 2018. Hasn't lost a game period since 2021. Is that right? 2021 since they lost a game, something like that. The premier program in college football, I think that's safe to say at this point. So, you know, glass ceiling right above us, like it kind of feels like when Clemson broke through it back in the mid-2010s, right? They were playing good, kept winning all these games, and then they finally got that big win and broke through that glass ceiling, and they had arrived to the college football world at that point and went on this 5-year run or whatever it was with them, where they've kind of had a little bit of a down year this year. And this kind of feels like that moment for Ole Miss where we can have our moment to break through that glass ceiling and announce to the world, hey, this is a new era of college football. Things are done differently. And damn it, we can play with anybody in the country as long as the rules are what they are right now.
Yeah, you're right. Georgia lost. The last time they lost a game was 2021 to Alabama in the SEC championship game. Last time they lost a regular season game was 2020.
Yeah.
So,
and that doesn't count COVID. So.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean everything you said there, you know, spot on. I've been trying to think of another, you know, game. Any game outside of the national championships with, you know, baseball a couple of years ago. I mean, those were huge games. But for the football program, as far as I can remember, is there a bigger one?
Yeah, I mean, the only argument I think is you'd have to go back to the 2015 Arkansas game, the 4th and 25, unfortunately, because that was for the SEC West. We get past that, you know, where we control our own destiny. 1 or 2 games left. Go win the SEC championship, and you'd have been in the playoff at that point. That's really the only one I could think of at that point, though. That game against Auburn when Laquan broke his leg, you know, that was number 3 and 4 in the country at that point. But yeah, I mean, this is a huge game. Like this is even bigger than 03 LSU in Oxford, right? Because
I think so.
Even if we beat LSU, win the SEC, we're not going to be one of the top 2 teams in the country.
We still had 2 losses, right?
Yeah. We lost to Memphis and
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, yeah. Yeah, we had 2 conference losses, so,
Yeah.
or 2 non-conference losses, I should say. So we weren't going to play for a national championship, and I think that's what makes this so interesting and maybe even so frustrating at the same time.
I know.
If you get past this, then you're staring 11-1 right in the face, and you may not. I say
Play for an SEC championship.
You're not going to play for an SEC championship because Alabama's not losing to Kentucky and Auburn, so you're not playing for the SEC championship. And unless you get some help, you're not even going to get in the playoffs to play for a national championship either. But it shouldn't diminish what a huge accomplishment,
Absolutely
huge
not.
game this would be. Because again, if you were able to go 11-1, beat Georgia in Athens, your only loss be in Tuscaloosa, and you're here going into the 12-team playoff next year.
Yeah, well, and what that does for the football program overall, from a recruiting standpoint, from a money standpoint, from a fans coming to the game or traveling standpoint, like
from a national
everything.
Brand too.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, one into another.
Yeah, and another side story about the trip this weekend. I know that we here as fans think that we have established a national brand, a little bit. Probably incorrectly at the scope of what we think, but there was a guy in where we were in Oklahoma. He came up and was asking where we were from, telling him Oxford, and he was like, "Man, y'all have the absolute best uniforms, in football, or whatever." And I was like, "Well, maybe Oregon, I don't know," but it was he thought about Ole Miss for something other than y'all are deep south and y'all suck because you'll never be in the SEC championship, right? Like it was a positive thing, not a negative thing.
So did he talk about how bad that Oklahoma's going to get their ass kicked in Oxford next year?
He didn't, but I did enjoy what Nate Bargatze said on the College Game Day about Oklahoma being the new Vanderbilt when it comes to SEC. He's been my favorite host or guest picker. He did a really good job. He was great.
Yeah,
but back to the game.
Yeah. So all right, again, huge game. I think we saw some things with Georgia and Missouri last week that, quite frankly, encouraged me more going into this game. Missouri had a lot of success in the stretch run game, which I think Ole Miss needs to do. Which look, I put it in our group chat earlier today about the stretch run game of Missouri. Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss are licking their chops looking at a team that struggles with the stretch run game. They love it. They want to get these guys outside. And not only with Judkins, with Bentley, with Dart, but all the options. I mean, you go back to last week, that 3rd and 4, that huge option play that was called was absolutely perfect. Ran to perfection. We love getting people sideline to sideline. I wish I could remember who it was that I was watching today, but there was a video I'd watched. They were previewing the Ole Miss Georgia game, and somebody pointed out how obviously Georgia's really good. Okay, like when you talk about when you say something about Georgia not being as good as it used to, like you have to realize that they're the gold standard and they're still really good.
Right.
But one thing that that took a step back this year compared to the last couple is their sideline to sideline speed, and that's why they struggled so much with that stretch run game. That's one thing Missouri was able to take advantage of. Missouri took advantage of using Luther Burden downfield. I don't know if you know this or not, but Ole Miss has 3 600-yard receivers, the only team in the country, and one of them is a sure as shit dude in Trey Harris, who I will take one-on-one over anybody. I mean, if there's a one-on-one matchup, let Dart throw it down there to him and let him go get it. And quite frankly, I'm not that far away from feeling that way with Dayton Wade with the catches.
Dayton Wade, I've got thoughts about the receivers.
Yeah, he's able to contort his body, win those 50-50 balls. I think that's something you're going to see a lot of this weekend. Go downfield, attack them downfield. That's Georgia's strength. They're really good in the secondary. They have 11 interceptions already this year, so people have challenged them. They failed. I'm not sure that they've faced quarterback-receiver combo like you're going to see this Saturday, though. So I think that's one thing that we need to look at. And also, one thing that I came away really impressed with this past Saturday, how much better Quinshon Judkins is in pass pro. He's not just a guy that's going in there to run the ball. And I think that helps us a lot with our tempo. You don't have to change personnel to get into max protection because pre-scoring is so good catching the ball, run blocking. You can keep Judkins in there to run block and pick up a blitzer the way he's been playing lately in pass pro. And obviously he's one of the best running backs in the entire country and catch the ball out of the backfield. That helps with tempo. That keeps them from getting fresh guys and using their depth on defense, which is a huge, huge positive for them. They've got dudes and down that roster, man.
Yes.
I
was looking at it earlier.
Yeah. I saw an argument that maybe Ole Miss wants to slow this game down a little bit to give Ole Miss's defense time to rest throughout the game, and I couldn't disagree with that more. When you have the right package in there, Watkins, Wade, Harris, pre-scoring, and Judkins, I think you can sit there and you can run as many plays you want to as fast as you want to, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to stop it, especially if you end up getting in a rhythm, start picking up 2 or 3 first downs, get those guys tired a little bit, because those guys on the field can do everything. They can run out. You can run the ball out of it. You can throw to the backfield, the tight ends, the receivers, and with Judkins in there, he's so much better at pass pro. You're not losing anything if you need to go mass protection to end up getting the ball down.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's where those RPOs just come in handy because you've got 5 guys that he can Dart can hand it, he can keep it, he can throw it to anybody, right? But I think that I love our receivers, and I've fallen more in love with them since pre-scoring came back and since he's been playing well. I know that Georgia's secondary is really good. But, I had a thought earlier about our running game, and if for whatever reason, if we can't get that running game going with Judkins or Bentley. So what do you think about changing it up? Like you said, and you kind of segued right into my point is Judkins has gotten so much better, or he is, good at pass blocking. So, use him as a pass blocker and use Dart as the running back, right? Give him options to not straight draws, right? But run pass options where we spread these guys out, 5 wide or 4 wide, whatever, and we let them run their routes. If it's not there, you've got an extra blocker with Judkins or Bentley, whoever's in there at the time, pre-scoring, and then you let Dart get 6 or 7 yards at a pop.
Yeah. I think the only problem with that is you're getting more hits on Jackson Dart doing it that way.
Yeah,
it's unnecessary.
100%.
And he's banged up already. You've seen the last couple of weeks he's not moving the way that he normally does, and you can kind of hear it when he does his post-game stuff too, that he's not completely healthy, mainly in the lower body area. So, but again, with the package, with the 3 receivers, pre-scoring, and Judkins, that's not something you even have to heavily rely on anyway. His legs, I think that's another reason it helps you so much, and you just have so many variables that you can do out of that formation. I think something they can really work on.
And that's all hypothetical, right? I don't think that we're going to have. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to go out and rush for 300 yards on Georgia, right? But with the point you're making with the stretch game and how, I mean, quite frankly, the offensive line's improved throughout the year. I mean, we've gotten better and better and better. I don't see us having to get tricky with our running game to be successful. And to be successful enough for Dart to be able to hit those guys on those 15 and 20-yard routes.
Yeah, I think this might be the weekend that Lane Kiffin goes into a game and says, hey, we're just going to line up and go athlete to athlete with you, and we're not going to get cute. We're not going to get tricky. We're going to go head to head and just see who's better, because I mean, you've got to feel good about every single matchup. Now, again, this is all relative to Georgia, right? I mean, they're the gold standard. They're really good. You're not going to win every single matchup against them, but it's a good barometer. And I think Lane Kiffin and these players think they're good enough to where they don't
do.
need those kind of tricks and cuteness and creativity to go head to head with them to beat them. Now, you're going to see the stretch tosses, all your play actions, reverses, sweeps, stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about double reverse pass and for God's sakes, when you get down in the red zone, get down there, put Pegues in at tight end as an extra blocker.
Yeah.
You don't need to get cute with him at quarterback. Line up and the damn ball.
We will, though.
Okay. Yeah, we will, and we can. And that's one thing we can be successful at, I think. And, throw it up to Trey Harris. Give him some, fades inside the 5-10 yard.
Some back shoulder throws and stuff.
I mean,
yes.
Let your dude go be a dude. And I just feel like it's something I'm more confident in than I was earlier in the year after watching these past several weeks. And I kind of feel like Kiffin, Weiss, and Dart in particular kind of feels that way too. And just speaking of Dart real quick, we've got to talk about how incredible he's been this year. He has thrown for 2,467 yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and completed almost 66% of his passes. 334 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns. Here's where it gets good. Against AP top 25 opponents, 2 of them on the road, at Tulane, at Bama, and then the LSU game at home. 900 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, 2 picks, 63% completion percentage. And he's rushed for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. He is by far the best quarterback in the nation that nobody is talking about.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. And I think he might sneakily be the best quarterback in the nation from an overall throw it, run it, this up here, not making mistakes. And yeah. I mean,
he's been incredible.
He really is. The growth, has been, really good. It's been better than the Matt Corral growth from the first year to the second year. And I can say, and I don't know that I said this a long time, but I trust him with the ball.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I know that sounds simple, and it
get out of Matt as much. He was more of a gunslinger, and look, that's how Jackson Dart was last year. I mean, he was going to sling that thing out there. He was going to take his risk. He was going to throw it into coverage. He has such a better understanding of the offense right now. He's not making mistakes. We're not turning the ball over. That's something you can't go in and do against a team like Georgia this coming Saturday. But you know what we do, Hitch, on one side of the ball?
We take it away.
We take that damn thing away, though. I mean, that's one thing this defense has been really good at. We've been very opportunistic. Golding's done a really good job getting these guys in the right position. We don't always make the plays when we're there, both in the running game and the passing game. You've seen how many interceptions we've dropped. You've seen how many tackles we've missed. But how many people we hit in the backfield at the line of scrimmage. Golding's done an incredible job, and this defense has gotten better and better and better each week, improving on those missed tackles in particular. I felt like we tackled pretty well this past weekend.
Yes. Yeah, we did. I was just looking at the turnover numbers as you were talking, and we have 10 interceptions, right? What I really like about it is it's 1 against Mercer, 1 against Tulane, 1 against Alabama, 2 against Arkansas, 2 against Auburn, 2 against Vanderbilt, 1 against A&M. There's not a game where we had 6 interceptions, right? So that number, that's a legitimate number. That's not something you can look at and go, oh, well, I mean, they played this team, they had 6 interceptions, so that's got inflated.
They dropped 6 more on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, our guys have a good nose for the ball, and they're in it for the most part in a good position to make a play. And I haven't paid any attention. I just thought about it. I guess I could probably look it up, but I don't know how many pass interference penalties. I don't feel like we've gotten a lot. I feel like I watched most games. It doesn't feel like we've gotten a whole lot of pass interference calls. So I mean, our defensive band, Carson Beck. Switch over to the defensive side of the ball a little bit. I hope we do what you talked about us doing that last drive of that Texas A&M game, right? Get after him.
Yeah.
Are we going to get beat on some plays? Absolutely. Like, you just have to know that going into it.
Oh.
But I think that going after Carson Beck, speeding him up just like you did with Max Jones, he is better than Max Jones, and I'm not comparing the two.
Yeah.
But anytime,
young.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's a young kid playing in
and Georgia.
How many big games has he played in?
That's okay. So that's kind of the rabbit hole that I was fixing to go down. Yeah. Is I don't know what the score was with Missouri last week. It was closer than Missouri covered, right?
Yeah. It was 30-21, I think was it. It was a 9-point game one way or another.
So it feels, and there was the Kentucky game a few weeks ago where everybody kind of talked about, oh, here's Georgia, they're going to have trouble with Kentucky, and it's a 14-point line and no trouble, right? Same thing with Missouri. Oh, they're going to have some trouble. I don't know if they had any trouble, but they won the game convincingly enough, right, by 2 scores.
They did end up having now one thing about that Missouri game, Brady Cook threw 2 interceptions. That was the difference in the game. They turned it over twice. Georgia didn't.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's going to be our problem. If Missouri doesn't turn it over twice and lose the turnover margin by 2 like they did, 9 points can turn in a hurry if you don't do that. And that's something that we just don't do. We don't turn the ball.
Well, and on top of that, like so this is at least I'm looking at their schedule now. This is at least the 3rd game where Georgia has gone into it and it's been, you might be in trouble. You better watch out. All right. And I think eventually they're going to say it ain't happened yet, and maybe this is the week they let their guard down. I don't know. And if they let their guard down against Lane Kiffin, Jackson Dart, Quinshon, and this offense, they're going to get beat. They're going to get beat.
Yeah. If they let their guard down, if they're not up for this game, I can go ahead and tell you they're going to get embarrassed in their own house. It's going to take a good effort from Georgia because Ole Miss is that good. We really are that good this year. Talking about defensively, one thing that I found really interesting, you were kind of in the conversation a little bit earlier today as we were talking about it, and then this afternoon I finally looked up the stats on it. Ole Miss is 8th nationally in sack percentage at 9.54%, and Georgia is 66th at 6.29%. All right.
Protecting or sacking?
Sacking on the defense side of the ball.
Gotcha.
Now, protecting, Georgia is 9th in sack percentage on offense. All right. They're only allowing sacks on 3.09% of the time. But they've only played 2 top 50 defenses in sack percentage all year. Missouri at 20 at 8.64 and Auburn at 44 at 7.29. Okay. Now, Ole Miss is 98th in sack percentage offensively, defending.
Protecting.
Yeah, protecting at 7.72. But we've played 5 top 50 defenses. Not only have we played 5 top 50 defenses to inflate that number, we've played the number 1, 5, and 11 defenses in sack percentage defensively so far this year. A&M was number 1 at 12.59, Arkansas 5 at 10.31, Bama at 11 at 9.43, Auburn, like I just said, checks in at 44, Tulane's at 47 so far this year, so they're still top 52. So I think it's a little bit skewed. Georgia has dudes on the offensive line, don't get me wrong, but they haven't been tested the way this Ole Miss offensive line has been tested so far this year. And that's one thing that I think is really going to help us going into this game. I think this is the 3rd best defensive line we've played already this year. I think Alabama's is better, and I think Texas A&M's is the best in the entire country.
What a wild thing you just said.
I know.
Crazy thing you just came out of your mouth.
But can you
that's
argue?
Crazy. No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, and looking at my spreadsheet, I just kind of quickly updated it before we got on here, and man, it's kind of tells the same story, right? In stuff rate, we're not even in the top 100 in the country. of preventing yet that. So, I mean, and so that's a little scary. That means people are getting into the backfield and at least getting a hit on the ball carrier initially. And Georgia is 12th in the nation, at getting back there. Like I'll say it this week. I said it last week. The thing that worries me the most is third down because
Georgia's really good there.
Yeah. The numbers line up almost just like they did last week, with us being barely in the top 100 of converting third down, Georgia being number 3, and then flipping it. It's not much better, us being 81st at stopping third down, and Georgia again being number 3 at converting. I think we were a little better against A&M. I think we were 4 for 11 and they were 5 for 11. Not great on our side, but
it's something we've dealt with all year, though, in this defense.
Sure, yeah. Well, it's like you said. It's kind of how this defense. It's kind of how this defense plays a little bit. They give up third downs, but they are saved by a bonehead play by the offense, or they're saved by a great play in the secondary with an interception. That's not always going to be the case.
Or even a big penalty to push the offense behind the chain, something like that.
I was just fixing to say, and that speaks a lot to our discipline as well. But, man, I really, really, really feel more comfortable if we converted a few more third downs and we stopped a few more third downs.
Yeah, well, and one thing that you haven't mentioned yet is, Lane Kiffin is going to go for damn near every reasonable fourth down in this game. I mean, half-ass reasonable. I mean, if we're at our own 35-yard line and it's 4th and 1, he's going for it.
Oh, yeah, and I want him to.
I do too. Those are chances you got to take in these kinds of games to bust through that glass ceiling, man. Again,
100%. We're going to have some guys jump some routes. We're going to have, a punt return. Jordan Watkins. Hey, Jordan Watkins, catch the punt, catch the punt, catch the punt.
You want to hear an interesting stat?
Yeah.
Georgia has not allowed a single punt return yard all year.
The way that you just said that, my immediate first thought was,
we're running one back.
We're running one back. I swear to God, it was. Oh my God, I'm the worst.
Yeah, they have not allowed a single punt, like not even a yard. They haven't even allowed a punt return.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Hey. Okay. I'm going to write that down because that's something I want to watch and keep up with. Yeah. I know that we're running up on like 45 minutes here, but one thing I wanted to point out, and I'll give your brother credit for it, is that red zone defense of Georgia. That red zone defense of Georgia, man. If we are. All right. So opportunities per game, and that's my name of the stat. I think it's called maybe finishing drives or something. It's once we get past the 40-yard line, our opponent's 40-yard line, we are 10th in the country, right, at scoring points, almost 5 points a trip, which is very good. In the red zone, we fall off a little bit. We score 87% of the time in the red zone. Georgia's giving up a score 93% of the time. And you think, well, maybe that's not that bad. It was a bunch of field goals. They're 112th in the nation giving up touchdowns in the red zone as well, at almost 63% of those 93% that they give up. And so we're right there with them. I think, and this is so cliche, but I think if we get better on third down, we convert third downs, we stop a few key third downs, we get that punt return for a touchdown, right? No, I'm just kidding about that. But we do what we're supposed to do. We do what we've done all year. We move the ball. We score touchdowns instead of field goals. Man, I think we have a legitimate great shot at going into Athens and taking one.
Yeah. I tend to agree with everything you just said. I mean, it's going to be an incredible game. I'm fired up for it. Line, last I looked score was 10, over under 58.5, I think.
Yeah, I've got it. I just typed it in the teams in my spreadsheet and just let it calculate. And I've got 24-27 Georgia is what it calculated. And I mean a 3-point difference is not well. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's definitely not 10 points.
Yeah,
but
Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin's goal going into Saturday when they walk into Sanford Stadium at 6 o'clock and that ball's kicked off, they have one hope, and that is after 3 quarters and the 4th quarter starts and there's 15 minutes left in this game, for this to be a 1-score game and you have a shot to win it. You know, and if you do that, anything can happen. And I think that's the position we're going to be in. How it ends up ending, I have no idea, obviously. But you know what, Hitch, I hadn't even told you about this. It's something we're going to do, though. We're about to give score predictions. So I will go ahead and tell you that my prediction, I will take the Rebels to win outright in Athens, 38-35 on a Jackson Dart 27-yard touchdown to Dayton Wade with 10 seconds left.
Okay. I'm going to say our defense shows up more than we expect. 28-17 Rebels.
Okay. Comfortable.
And, yes, 28-17 Rebels. But the reason that it's comfortable is because we're going to win the toss. We're going to defer. Georgia goes 3 and out. Punt. Jordan Watkins to the house. Before you know it, it's 7-0. Here we go.
There we go. And there's our punt return for a touchdown. It was coming no matter what.
Yeah.
And God help everybody on Twitter if we actually get a punt return for a touchdown, because me and Hitch are going to let everybody know. Well,
and I meant to say this, and I'm speaking for you as well, but I'm bringing my computer, and if we win that game, we will be doing a post-game podcast or post-game show.
100%.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Won't be sober.
No.
Even a little bit. But we'll go ahead and record something for you. You know, if you need something to listen to, watch, whatever, come Sunday, keep the juices flowing, then we'll have you covered. So obviously I'll have my computer here, so if Hitch brings his and we end up pulling it out, then God help us and God help y'all, whatever y'all are going to get come Sunday morning.
Yeah, because it's going to be, you know what? We did this for the Alabama game. We got all fired up and we came out and laid an egg. Here is my goal. I'm going to enjoy this game regardless.
Yeah.
I know saying that on Tuesday and Saturday is different. I'll get there Saturday and you know, we make a couple bad plays and you know, I'm mad. But this is one of the biggest games like that I've been a part of it, watched, and I just want to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's kind of house money, you know. Obviously, we want to win it. I have all the confidence in the world that we're going to win it. I'm going in to win it. I'll be disappointed if we lose it. But this is house money. This is house money for the Rebels. Chance to go 11-1 and have one hell of a year, and even if we don't get ULM, Mississippi State for a chance to go 10-2 and have 2 10-win regular seasons in the last 3 years would be pretty incredible.
Yeah. Don't get it twisted. I will be upset if we lose, and this is not me saying, "Oh, I'm just happy to be there."
No.
This is me saying I think 100%. I think 100% confidence that we go in and win. You know, but I'm going to enjoy watching this football game regardless.
And kind of on top of that, I would like to take a minute here. It's time for Ole Miss fans to change their way of thinking as well. You know, we're not happy to be here. We're happy to win. This is why we do this every single week. It's why me and Hitch and so many people that, well, I say so many that listen to this, the 5 to 10 that listen to this, but everybody else that watches the games every single week and have for so many years, we don't do it just because we're happy to be there. We want to win. We want a winner. We want a national championship contender. And with the win Saturday, that's exactly what you got in the 2023 Ole Miss Rebel football team's national championship contender. If you're 11-1 in the SEC, you're in the picture. We would need help. we're absolutely relevant, and we're right there in the thick of things. So let's get out there. Let's raise a little bit of hell. Let's scare the hell out of Kirby and the Bulldogs. Let's pick up a win. Hitch, I can't wait to see you out here Saturday.
I can't wait.
Just text me, let me know what time you're coming, because I'm going and getting some stuff to cook for lunch and all that. And then we got a big dinner planned as well. So get your ass out here. Let's cheer on the Rebels.
Everybody listening's invited.
Yeah, absolutely. So just DM me and I'll give you the address, right? That's how
man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
Drop a comment, maybe I'll consider giving you the address.
Here we go. Sounds like a winner.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, I appreciate you coming on here again with me this week. Can't wait to see you Saturday. And
Hotty toddy.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
See you, bud.
See you.